Saturday on CNN.
In our Law and Justice lead, it is perhaps the biggest scandal in the history of athletics. Period. Full stop. Larry Nassar, the disgraced former USA gymnastics team doctor, sexually abused more than 150 women and girls, including Olympic athletes, under the guise of performing medical treatments. In 2018, Nassar was sentenced up to 175 years in prison. Today, the U.S. Justice Department reached a nearly $139 million settlement with more than 100 of Nassar's victims. This is after the FBI initially failed to investigate reported claims of abuse, which allowed Nassar to continue his twisted assaults. In a statement, the acting associate attorney general said these allegations should have been taken seriously from the outset. While these settlements won't undo the harm Nassar inflicted, our hope is that they will help give the victims of his crimes some of the critical support they need to continue healing, unquote. Joining us now is John Manley. He's an attorney who represents some of the survivors of Nassar's abuse. John, first of all, what is the reaction to the settlement among your clients and other survivors of Nassar's abuse?
Well, it's relief. I mean, this has been an 8-year saga, Jake. It's at some level feeling victorious, but also at some level just profound sadness knowing that had the FBI acted when this was reported by Aly Raisman and Maggie Nichols in 2015, that over 100 children would not have been molested by Larry Nassar. And those families would not have been lied to by the FBI in an effort to cover it up. It brings the end to one of the darkest chapters, if not the darkest chapter in American sports history, if not world history.
Yeah.
And there's another piece to it, which is Jim Comey, the head of the FBI at the time, has never commented on this. I can tell you I speak for many, many families when I say that they want to know what Mr. Comey knew about this and when he knew it and why it wasn't stopped earlier.
So Aly Raisman is obviously a hero, as are so many of these women and girls, for voicing their truth, the horrors that they endured. Why were these women and girls, their claims, why were they ignored by so many people for so long? Let's start with the FBI. What's their explanation as to why they didn't take this seriously enough?
Well, I think the best explanation comes from the Department of Justice Inspector General's report, which is that the special agent in charge of the Indianapolis office where it was reported was actively negotiating a job with Steve Penny, who was the head of USA Gymnastics, for a head of Olympic security. There was not just that office which he was head of, and he was a Comey appointee, but it was the Los Angeles office and the Detroit office. The FBI was going as far as clearing press releases and helping USA Gymnastics and Penny with press responses when we filed our first lawsuit. I've never seen anything like it. It was a conspiracy. And if I told people in 2015 that the USA Gymnastics, the U.S. Olympic and Paralympic Committee, and the Michigan State University and the FBI were going to conspire together to conceal this, no one would have believed me, but that's what happened.
As a result of the case and the horrors we now know that Nassar committed, have there been changes to how coaches and doctors and trainers and people with USA Gymnastics and the Olympic Committee, have they made any changes? How about with how trainers and doctors interact with athletes, or how abuse is reported, how it's investigated? Has anything systemically changed?
I think what's changed is this case brought awareness around the world that this can actually happen with a doctor or a trusted adult. And it has brought changes because of policies adopted, et cetera. But I think more than anything else, having Simone Biles and little girls and their families who were abused by Dr. Nassar raise their hand and say, this happened to me, and testify publicly, has brought so much attention to it. I don't think Nassar could have gotten away with it today. I often say to these women, you will never meet the little girls you've saved from this, but they exist.
Absolutely. And how are your clients doing? And will this settlement help them at all with their healing process?
I think what helps with it is not just the money, but it's the symbolism that it brings. It's very, very difficult to sue the federal government, if not impossible. And when the federal government pays $138 million, essentially $1 million a case, it's an admission of liability. And the federal government here, the Department of Justice, is not the Comey regime. It's a different group of people, and Director Wray apologized to the families directly. The Attorney General has apologized. But on the other hand, the agents involved, none of them went to jail. They lied to the Justice Department. If an ordinary American lies to a federal agent, you go to jail for 5 years. They're walking free, and that's not justice. So it's an imperfect result, but it's one I'm very proud of, and I think our clients are proud of. And it was the result of a massive struggle. And to defeat, one of the major universities in the world, the most powerful Olympic organization in the world, and the FBI in court speaks volumes about their story and their believability and the power they were able to put forth as a result of speaking their truth.
Yeah, very powerful and impressive young women. John Manley, thank you so much for your time today. Coming up next, the controversial wing of the Israel Defense Forces that the U.S. wants to sanction. CNN